Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. And we are so thrilled to be offering one of the first of its kind digital, virtual, and continuous learning environments, enabling parents and children to connect from all around the world. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions and to create space for all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments, both socially and politically, that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we also write thought pieces every other Sunday. We just dropped a thought piece this past Sunday, so be sure to meander over to the website and check out our online content. Now, if it is the case that you are looking for a listening alternative, well, we're available on 12 different podcast platforms for your listening leisure, and we've provided you with access to the links in the description down below. Now, as is the convention, be sure to subscribe, hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis. And today the topic of discussion is mental wellness. On the topic of mental wellness, I want to talk about staying grounded. And so I talk a lot about staying grounded, staying centered, staying focused, but I think that staying grounded is a skill. I don't know if many of us know what it means, how it feels to stay grounded. And usually when I talk about staying grounded, it means bringing myself back to center. It means creating balance and equilibrium in the emotional states that I'm experiencing. So if I feel like I'm too far into one emotion over another, balance for me, centered, grounded for me, is back to a neutral, powerful state of being. And so I want to talk a little bit about how that translates. And so for me, being grounded means finding myself back to calm, right? So for me, grounded means calm, and calm not just in the way that I'm presenting behaviorally. I'm calm mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I have settled myself. I have found my way to calm. And so how I typically will do that, because I'm high strung, is I meditate a lot. And a lot of how that translates now, because I meditate so frequently, it can look like I'm sleeping, it can look like I'm daydreaming. Like I'm not always sitting like in a meditative position or laying in a meditative position, but I do meditate quite a bit, and there's a few mantras and affirmations that I meditate across that help bring me back to center. And so because words really bring me a lot of clarity, words are very soothing to me, words for me are incredibly powerful. I'm so selective, so intentional about the words that I use to bring myself back home. And when I say back home, it means back to feeling centered, back to feeling grounded. And so in yoga, and in yoga especially, there's a few mantras that I find are really wonderful. And I think that for each of us, it's going to be different. I don't think I need to give you my personal affirmations, but I think that you should go seek some affirmations of your own that help give you calm, that help give you a sense of peace. And so how do I find my way to grounded? Well, when I'm angry, the way that I ground myself is with breathing. Breathing is so integral and crucial to calm myself down, because as they have told you, or maybe they haven't, but as you can test it for yourself, you cannot be angry, which is like wound up and emotion, and be breathing, right? So when you're wound up, you're taking like very shallow, quick breaths. But if you like force yourself to take deep breaths, your body physiologically like has to calm down. It has to come back to center. So I find like if I am even finding myself, you know, my temperature gauge is increasing, I immediately just start breathing, because I personally I'm not interested in being very angry. I'm not interested in losing my cool. I'm not interested in losing my temper. So I keep my anger in check at all times. And the way that I do that is with breathing work. So when I feel angry, when I feel myself getting irritated, when I feel myself getting upset, I immediately start breathing myself back to center. And sometimes that's just enough to keep me even keel and level-headed until I get myself out of that situation. Sometimes what helps me make sure that I don't go into anger is just removing myself from that scenario. But we can't always leave. Like sometimes we have to grim and bear it. And so for me, I'm able to manage my anger, find my way back to calm, back to center by breathing through it. Anger and breath work, I think breathing, learning how to breathe from your diaphragm, learning how to breathe for the purpose of giving yourself calm, learning really the power of your breath, and taking intentional, mindful breaths is just so good for each and every one of us, and it brings calm regardless of what emotional state that you're in. Reminding yourself to breathe, and for me, anger is where breath work is so crucial, where I find it really does, I feel like such a immediate response, an immediate calm responding to the anger. And it doesn't mean that I'm not still dealing with the issue that made me angry, but I'm dealing with it with a level head. I do not like to speak from a place of anger. I like to check my anger, and once the anger has passed, then communicate. So I know some people, they like to talk when emotions are high. Like for me, I want to first manage the emotion that I'm experiencing. I want to reflect on that emotion, reflect on what I need personally from myself with that emotion before I tell you what I need from you. So that can happen within 5 minutes. That might need 5 days. Like it really depends. For the most part, it doesn't take 5 days, but I find that my emotions are more a signal to me for me to do something to deal with the situation. It's not necessarily a signal that I need of you or from you, right? And maybe it is, like maybe it will be a request of you in the future, but a lot of the times I put that onus on me, right? So depending on what triggered me into anger, because it takes so much for me to be angry, it could be enough for me to change that relationship altogether, right? Because I do believe that my emotions are signaling me to orient differently, and that is something that I've learned with maturity. Before, like if I was angry, I would hold you accountable for my anger. I would hold you accountable for my feelings. But to be quite fair, I don't hold myself accountable to anyone else's feelings. Like I'm happy to hear how you feel. I'm happy to reflect on whether or not I played a role in your emotional response. But for the most part, you are the owner of your feelings, and because I like to practice what I preach, I am most certainly the owner of mine. So again, grounded from anger is breathing. When it comes to sadness, how I feel grounded when I feel sad is soothing. I really do engage in a lot of self-soothing mechanisms. So I can't just be breathing, because I find like I am breathing quite deeply when I am sad. Like I'm already regulating quite actively. I think my body kind of does it without my really trying to, but my body wants to be soothed, right? And so that can be doing yoga, that can be meditating, and meditating on words that are soothing, that comfort me, and that bring me a sense of calm and a sense of safety. And that can be, you know, a self-care routine, but my body wants to be soothed. When I am sad, I realize the only thing that I want in response to that sadness is to be soothed, either internally with my words or externally with some activity, but I want to be soothed in that moment. And in the soothing, like if the soothing in and of itself is effective, I find myself back to feeling grounded, back to feeling centered. And even like I never really need to feel grounded from being happy, but if I do experience like a lot of high emotion, I typically need to take a nap. So like it's funny because I'm an adult, but I feel like as adults we still need to have some cat naps here and there, and I think in Europe they do it best because they have a better sense of work-life balance. But if I am like on high energy all day, every day, I need a quick cat nap, and unfortunately my body doesn't really understand cat naps, so like usually they're minimum 2 hours. So I try not to do them as frequently as possible, but I do need resting states. So a lot of people will find that between transitions, because we wear multiple hats in a day. So if I'm working, before I do the next thing that I have in my itinerary, I'm gonna have a rest state. I'm gonna come to the park. I'm going to recenter, ground myself. I'm going to release the energy from the morning, whether it was good energy or bad energy. I like to cleanse myself of the energy that I interact with on a day-to-day basis. And I like to do that either with water. So, you know, if I either like will shower off energy, or I will come into nature and cleanse out the energy. And I typically make a big effort to start my day off without any residual energy from the day before. And it doesn't mean that there aren't tasks that carry over, but the energy that those tasks created the day before is going to be a different variant of that energy the day after, because I like resets. And I think that the best way to stay grounded is to give yourself an opportunity to reset. And for me, resetting is breath work, it's nature, it's soothing, it's calming myself down. It's also laughing, and I don't think that I mentioned laughing in any of the emotions that I was mentioning earlier, but I'm always laughing. I'm always looking for opportunities to laugh because it is refreshing, right? It doesn't necessarily ground me, but it helps get me there. It's like the conduit to the next step, which is either breath work or it's self-soothing, but it is something that is part of the wheelhouse of how I support myself emotionally, how I help myself deal with some of the emotional riffraff that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Like laughter for me is like the most powerful medicine. I love it. And it helps get me to center, right? So when I think about being grounded, it's being calm. It's being present, is being aware not just of my environment but of what's happening within me, but not being so immersed in it that I can't step out of it and think about it, right? I'm very meta in the way that I look inwards when I'm looking to be grounded, right? So it's a very meta experience where I'm pretty much taking a scan of an emotional, psychological, mental, and physical scan of my body and giving myself the green light. Like, I'm feeling good, I am feeling okay, I am feeling centered, empowered, capable, and ready to keep pushing forward. And so that's why I really love this state. It's a very powerful state, and especially when you're dealing with high stress, high anxiety situations. I don't believe my body personally was built for some of the stress that I've dealt with. I don't think anyone's body is, but my body has pushed through it and cultivated the resilience, has adapted to it because of my focus, my prioritizing being grounded and grounding myself, right? So being grounded is like not just a fun thing to say, it's like activities and things that I would do as frequently as was required depending on that stage and phase of my life to make sure that I was grounded. And now grounding isn't so deliberate. Like, I find that my body knows what it needs to do in any given situation to start the grounding process. So I could be walking from point A to point B, and halfway through that walk, I'm doing breath work, I'm taking deep breaths, I'm visualizing. I think visualizing also can be a very, very powerful way of grounding yourself. And I'm just visualizing peace, right? And how that translates and how that looks, while breathing it in and breathing out the noise, breathing out the chaos. So again, I guess this was a mixed mash of a lot of different things that I do to stay grounded. Staying grounded is really like I guess it's my religion, right? I'm not a religious person, but if there was something that I do as such an integral part of my lifestyle that it could be considered to be a religion, it would be the way that I prioritize and consider being grounded and being centered so significant. Like making sure that I have that inward focus, that inward concentration, that inward reflection, and like mental precision on point on a daily basis. And those are the different ways that I do it. I think it could translate differently for each person. I find feeling grounded also helps when I'm doing like different physical activities as well, like exercising, cooking, or cleaning could be something that can be very meditative, where I'm physically doing things that I can really kind of go inward into myself and ground myself, recenter myself, and reset myself. So I'm trying to give you all the examples here in this video. I want this video to be helpful. I wanted to give you just enough different varieties of information so that you can try something out, and if it doesn't ground you, you try the next thing. And if you have tried something completely different and it has given you the capacity to feel centered, to feel focused, and to feel grounded, then by all means leave a comment down below. I want to hear about it. I would love to give it a try, but those are how I stay grounded. And notice that none of the ways I stay grounded require a budget. They're things that you do with you, for you, without needing to spend any moolah. So that was it for today, but definitely not all. Now, before letting you go, I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that we will be going live at least twice a month, every month for the foreseeable future on our Facebook page. So definitely be sure to tune in. Now, these events are paid events, so if you do see yourself participating in our community on an ongoing basis, then I do suggest that you take a look at one of our package plans. Yes, so we do offer package plans over and above our live events, as well as access to webinars, workshops, largely focused on self-mastery over and above these events. So definitely check it out. Be part of our game changer community, being part of the change that you want to see, allowing us a small role to play in your journey. We are on the road to 1K, so we do invite you to follow us across all of our social media platforms, and we look forward to chatting with all of you very soon. We'll talk to you later.
I just feel like no one's listening.